This video, I don't think you have a choice, but I wanted to, this video is going to be going over all of the review. I'm going to be splitting it up into shorter videos, so it's not one mega one, just letting you know. Okay, so this diagram shows a regular polygon. What is the value of x? So first thing that we need to do is remember what regular means. It means the same length sides and equal angles. So, and then this is also, the other thing we need to know is this is an exterior angle. This is an exterior angle. So let's start now by counting the number of sides. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 sides. So if you went all the way around, it would all the way around the circle would be 360 degrees. So we'll do 360 divided by 10 because there were 10 sides. Number of sides. So we would get 36 degrees. Good? If you need more time to write this, you can pause this, or we can move on and you can go back and get it later, right? All right, number 2. So what is the value of A? Things that we need to remember is the angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees. So let's see, we would do 3a plus 84 plus 42 equals 180 degrees. I could put degrees in all these, right? And we just want to find out what a is. So we can do in decimals, we could do 180, subtract 42, subtract 84, and or maybe we could add these two up, and that would be 126. Either way, you can do it in decimals, right? I'm doing it by hand because I don't want to have to switch. Actually, I can switch. 180 subtract 126. See, it takes a long time. This is why I don't like to switch. So 180 subtract 126 is 54. So we'd have 3a, a, not 8, a equals 54. Then we divide by 3, which we can again use decimals for. And then a, 54 degrees, right? And then a would be equal to, let's see, 118 degrees. Again, you can use decimals. Good. Next one, we have, what is the measure of the interior angle of a regular? Remember, that means equal angles is what we need to know for this. Heptagon, hepta means 7. Well, hexa means 6. Is it octo or octa? Octa is 8. And nona is 9. Deca was 10. And the formula for this is we're going to do n subtract 2 multiplied by 180 divided by the number of sides. So n is the number of sides. So since hepta is 7, we're going to do 7 subtract 2 multiplied by 180 divided by 7. And you can do that in decimals. So we can do 7, actually I'm going to do the fraction, divide first. So parentheses, 7, subtract 2, close parentheses, 180 over 7 is 128.57. So so like I got 128.57. So the nearest tenth is going to be 128.6. So 128.6. So you'll need to know this formula. As far as things that you'll need for the test actual itself, you'll need that formula for sure. That would be a great thing to put on your note sheet. This would be a great thing to put into a note sheet. What else do we need to know? Exterior angles add to 360. And then you just divide it by the number of sides. So 360 by the number of sides. Okay. All right. Says if xy, let's see, xy is p, wz is negative 9p plus 94, and uv is 8p subtract 55, then we are going to find the average of those. What is the value of P? Okay, so we're going to find the average of those, right? Because if we did the, I'm just going to use the highlighter. If we took this one and added this one and divided it by 2, it would equal the middle one. So I'm going to write that out. So I'm going to have P plus the biggest one, 8p subtract 55, and I divided that by 2, it would equal negative 9p plus 94. And then it's just solving that, right? So let's see. P plus 8p is 9p, right? Oh, that P, not B. 9p, like I added those together, it would be 9p. And then I don't like this dividing by 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2, so those will cancel out, but then this whole thing is going to be multiplied by 2. So then I'd have 9p subtract 55 is equal to, and then I'm going to distribute here, negative 18p plus 188. Right, 94 times 2, 188, yep. Good, and then we're just gonna solve for P, right? So let's see, goes back to algebra 2. So let's see, we're gonna add 18p, so that those will cancel out, add 55, so those will cancel out. 9 plus 18 is 27p is equal to 88 plus 55. What is 88 plus 55? I'm going to use a calculator. That's not on here because it'll take too long to switch over. So 188 plus 55 is 243. And then divide by 27, So 243 divided by 27 is 9. So P is equal to 9. Oof. Okay, so let me just write down the idea. We add the smallest, and or actually I should find the average. That's exactly what I did, is I found the average. Average of the outsides is the middle. So average of the outside equals the middle. And then we did a lot of algebra. Whew, that one's going to be a good stretch, huh? I'm going to put a star next to that. Oof, okay. All right. Then quadratic quadrilateral EFGH is a kite. What is DE? So let's see. The nice thing with the kite, the fact about the kite that we're going to use is that these diagonals make 90-degree angles. And we want to find DE. So you'll notice there is this nice triangle that's almost all labeled for us. We have a hypotenuse. We have, this one's a leg. So we want to find the other leg. Pretty easy. Our formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But my favorite way of doing it is this way. If I want to find a leg, I'm going to do the square root of the hypotenuse squared subtract the other leg squared. So for our problem, it would be the square root of 68 squared subtract 32 squared. And I can type that sucker into Desmos and get a nice answer. So it's SQRT of 68 squared subtract 32 squared, and I got 60. Let me just show you how that typed in there. It'll be so handy. Go like this in Desmos, and then I can go like this and just slide her over. Look at that. Look at that. So the answer is 60. Cool, huh? All right. Then, can you show that this quadrilateral is a parallelogram? The answer would be, so this is how to show that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, is you need to have parallel sides. These are some of the things. You have to have a couple things being true. Do we have parallel sides? So that's got to be true. We have to have at least one pair. At least one pair. And these little guys right here mean we do. So check. We have at least one pair of parallel sides. The next thing is the opposite opposite sides would need to be congruent. Well, hey, opposite sides being congruent, that's 59 and that's 59. That's true. We're going to stop there and just say yes. Yes, it is a parallelogram because we have parallel sides and opposite sides congruent. Because if those are congruent, then for sure this side has to be congruent to that side because it forces it to happen. It forces all the angles to have to be the same. And yep, that's all you need. So cool. Quadrilateral TUVW is a square. What is UW? So this is the fact about a square. Is the diagonals bisect each other. And that helps us because if this side is 47 from, looks like it's going to be from X to W is 47, this side also has to be 47. So the whole thing to get from U to W would be 47 multiplied by 2, or 47 plus 47. So 14, and then 94. So UV would be 94. Not too shabby, right? All right. And then quadrilateral DEFG is a rhombus. What is the measure of angle DGE? So here is the thing about a rhombus that you'll need to know, is that the diagonals bisect the angle. So that means that this angle and that angle would have to be the same. The other fact that we need to know is that all I should all angles of a triangle add to plus to 180 degrees, right? So we can do 100. So then this, like all three of those would have to add up to 180. So if I did 180, subtract 116, I would get 64 degrees, right? I'm just going to double check. 180 subtract 116 is 64. Yep. And then since that means that this would be two angles add to 64, so each would be 64 divided by 2, which is 32 degrees. So 32 degrees, because that's the angle DGE, 32 degrees. So two things we used. We used all angles, the diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angle on the ends. And then all angles of a triangle, because that's a triangle on that side, add to 180. All right, next thing. Quadrilateral QRST is a rectangle. And then it tells us QS is this long and RT is that long. Here's the thing that you need to know about rectangles is the diagonals are congruent, which means equal, right? So we can say that 4u subtract 58 is equal to 2u, because there's QS is this diagonal, RT is that diagonal, so they have to equal each other, and then it's just an algebra problem, right? So let's see, we could do subtract 4u, subtract 4u, so negative 58 equals negative 2u, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and then u, sounds like I'm talking about a person. U would be whatever 58 divided by 2 is, because the negatives would cross out. So that would be 29. So 29. Not too bad. Then the next one will be the last one I'll do on this video, and then I'll make a second video. Find the value of u that makes this quadrilateral a parallelogram. Hey, this is kind of like the one we did before, where this has to equal that, right? So 18u would need to equal 2u plus 16. So minus 2u, subtract 2u. We get 16u is equal to 16. Hey, that's nice. Because then u, once you divide by 16, u equals 1. There you go. So that's the end of this video.